On this episode, I'm joined by a special guest for her review of Victoria and Albert's located at the Grand Floridian. Today is August 15th, 2023. This is episode 591 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and while Rhonda will not be joining me today, I will soon be joined by a very special guest to talk all about Victoria and Albert's. Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. And if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And if you're getting ready to plan that next trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World and you have must-need dining reservations, don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. So I know that we said that the next episode was going to follow part one of our Fort Wilderness trip and camper rental adventures, and that will be coming on Friday. We're going to discuss more food and wine, more about the campground, and we're also going to discuss our lunch at Grand Floridian Cafe. As things tend to happen, the weekend got the best of us. My parents came into town. We finally went to see Haunted Mansion, which we can talk about a little bit on the next episode. Rhonda's back off for a 13-hour day on Monday. So I am very lucky to have my new friend, Jordan, who is going to join to talk about her recent dining experience at Victoria and Albert's. Now, I feel like this is perfect because I've yet to get that invite from Josh D'Amaro inviting me over to Victoria and Albert's, and I'm not really sure when we're going to ever have an opportunity to do it, if we do at all. If you're not aware, with Victoria and Albert's over at the Grand Floridian, this is true elegance. This is luxury dining at its absolute best. Victoria and Albert's has garnered awards and honors, including being a AAA 5-Diamond Award winner since 2000, Ford's Travel Guide 5-star since 2018, Wine Spectator Best of Award of Excellence, Florida Trend Golden Spoon Hall of Fame. This is truly a unique dining experience that not a lot of people get to go to. So you do have 3 dining experiences to choose from, and we'll talk to Jordan about hers and what she selected and all about her experience. But first, you have the dining room at Victoria and Albert's, which actually only has 1 seating every evening. This is going to run the prefix menu of $2.95 per guest. Wine pairings start at $150 per guest, and they have 0 proof pairings that start at $110 per guest. Then there is the chef's table. This is going to run a prefix menu at $4.25 per guest. Optional wine pairings at $200 and 0 proof pairings at $110 per guest. So this is where the culinary team actually personally prepares your one-of-a-kind feast, 1 course at a time. Finally, there's the Queen Victorian's room. So this is an intimate dining experience, and this prefix menu is $375 per guest. Wine pairings start at $200, 0 proof pairings start at $110. But I really can't say anything about any of these because I've not been. So why don't we go ahead and bring in our special guest today, Jordan, to talk about Victoria and Albert's. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on, and welcome to the Main Street Magic Podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this was great. So you messaged me on Instagram, and this worked out perfect because we've always wanted to talk about Victoria and Albert's. Rhonda and myself have not been, so it's great to have a guest on who just went very, very recently. First, let's just start a little bit with kind of, I guess, your background around Disney. Are you mostly a Disney World fan? Do you go to any other Disney resorts? How often have you been? Just kind of a little bit of, I guess, history of Jordan and your love for all things Disney.
All right. So I grew up basically an hour and a half outside of Disney World. So I've been going since before I can remember.
Wow.
Annual pass pretty much from my whole childhood, and then took a break in college and grad school, and then just recently after COVID renewed mine again. So I've been to Disneyland once, but I lost track of how many times I've been to Disney World, which is kind of a nice problem to have.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So you obviously go very often. So you just dined at Victoria and Albert's on August 1st. Was there a special reason you went to Victoria and Albert's? Were you celebrating something? Has this just always been on your Disney bucket list? I guess talk a little bit about why you decided to go And how you got reservations, how everything led up to you getting to dine there.
Okay, so it's been on my Disney bucket list for a while, and my mom has always wanted to go, so we actually went together. I checked the My Disney Experience app for probably 3 or 4 months, just randomly leading up to it, and that was the date and time that came available.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they might have had a cancellation or something because I think we booked it maybe a month out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was the only time, only for a party of two, couldn't modify the party size or anything.
No, when you're booking Victoria and Albert's, do you have to put down any sort of deposit? What type of commitment are you making? Because obviously they can still have cancellations, but are you ever on the hook for anything, or is there a certain fee you have to put down just to book it in general?
So there wasn't anything to put down to book it other than the standard, give us your credit card and we will charge you if you don't show up.
Yeah.
But I think this one had a $100 cancellation fee, I believe, within 4 days.
Okay.
And I think if you canceled within 24 hours, it was the full price.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you obviously, this is what you found. You're not that far out from Disney and all. So you planned a trip around specifically going to Victoria and Albert's then for this situation?
We didn't even stay there, drove back home that night.
Okay, so I know leading up to your dining at Victoria and Albert's, they'll contact you. And at this time, don't they ask, like, if you have any sort of preferences, if you have allergies, things like that? And then based on the 3 dining opportunities that they have, which one did you pick and why? Was that literally just what was available, so you went with that one?
Yeah, as far as the which room is between the main dining room, the Queen Victoria room, or the chef's table,
Yeah.
it was the main dining room was what was available.
Okay.
And then when we got there, we had the choice of the 7 or the 10-course menu.
So which did you choose?
We went with the 10-course.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, really, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it all the way.
Yeah.
Because it's not really an experience that I think many people repeat just because of how expensive it is.
Oh, definitely. So leading up to it, what was that like and your experience before you ever even arrived?
So they sent out an email about 2 weeks ahead of time asking for everyone in the party's names, any formal titles they wanted put on their menu because they addressed the menu personally to you.
Wow.
If we were celebrating anything. And then, of course, they asked about any food preferences and allergies. So as far as that goes, I've got a shellfish allergy. So we emailed back and forth and they asked some more specifics about what exactly my allergy entailed. And then when we got there, the menu was customized so that there was nothing for either of us I was allergic to.
All right. So then as far as the preparation that they're putting in and the information that you're giving them through these emails, everything leading up, then your dining experience as far as the food is going to be different than anyone else that's in that room, correct? Because everything really is being catered around your preferences, allergies, if you have anything.
Exactly. I think they've got a set menu for sure for everyone that they try to do. That is the standard. And then they'll take into consideration your preferences, any allergies, food restrictions. And then they also make sure that the meat's at the temperature you want. But yeah.
So even all of that was being done ahead of time for the most part?
Yeah, it was very, very thorough. By the time we walked up to the door, someone opened it before we even got close to touching the doorknob. Someone opened it and greeted us by name.
Wow.
And I still have no idea how they pulled that one off.
That's incredible. I mean, yeah, that attention to detail is just absolutely amazing. So let's talk dress code, because we know that Disney, of course, has a dress code throughout, certain signature and fine dining restaurants, which, I mean, it's not always exact. You can show up to a California Grill, coming straight from a park, and you're not exactly always fitting their dress code. I would assume Victoria and Albert's is very strict on their dress code. And what does that look like? How did you get prepared? Did you guys buy anything special to go? Did you already have something? What's all that look like?
So yeah, there definitely is a strict dress code for that was part of the email they sent, actually, to remind you of what the expectations were. And I know previously they required men to wear a jacket, but that's not required anymore, but encouraged.
Yeah.
Neither of us actually had to buy anything for it. We both had some stuff that would work, which was good because kind of a last minute reservation as far as shopping goes.
Yeah.
It has been a tight schedule to find something
Oh, yeah.
for that fancy of an event.
Yeah. All right. So as you said, you arrived, they're greeting you at the door by name. You're not even sure how they're figuring it out to do that. But then you're sat at your table. I mean, what's the ambiance? What's the decor? What does it look like in here?
The best way to describe it would be it looked like a very elegant white wedding cake. So the inside of the restaurant was really bright and airy looking, and it was decorated with flowers and butterflies on the columns. And it really looked like being inside a wedding cake.
Oh, wow.
There was a harp player.
Oh, so they have a harp player going the whole time.
Yep, there's a live harp player playing Disney songs, other songs like contemporary songs that people would know. That really added a lot to the ambiance.
Now, within your dining experience, does every table get a designated cast member? Or, I mean, I would assume that they're not doing multiple tables. Is it just your table for that specific cast member?
So I actually thought that, but then we saw another table get seated behind us, and they had the same team of 2 cast members.
So is it kind of like on the cruise lines then?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
All right.
That it's a team of 2, they work together and take care of each table.
Does the chef come out at any point during your experience? I mean, I know they've already covered all of the specifics ahead of time, especially when it comes to allergies and all, but was that something that they did?
Based on some reviews I saw online, it seemed like that might be a possibility, but that didn't happen with us that night.
Okay. Well, let's get one thing out of the way and let's talk price, and then we can talk all about the food and see if you thought it was worth it. What is the price for the dining experience and everything that you guys did?
The 2 of us with tip, a bottle of sparkling water, and 1 cocktail, it was rated $1,000.
Okay. That sounds pretty on point to anything I've ever heard. So it's good to hear that that's right around what it is. Because they're pricing per person for your entire meal, and then obviously anything tip, cocktails, things like that are going to be extra on top, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I've got the menus. The 10-course menu was $375 per guest.
Okay.
And the 7 is $295 per guest. And those both had the option to come with a wine pairing for either 150 or 200 a person, or a 0 proof non-alcoholic drink pairing for 110 or 140.
Wow. That's crazy on the 0 proof cocktail ones. I know from seeing you on Instagram, it looks like you really love cocktails and tiki drinks and stuff like that. Are you normally a wine drinker at all? Do you ever pair wine with meals, but just decided not to add that, or it's just because that just wasn't something that would interest you guys?
No, so I really enjoy wine, love pairing wine with food. It really was more a matter of there were so many courses that I knew we were going to be so full by the end that adding that much wine didn't seem enjoyable.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, especially for that price. Yeah, if you're not going to get your money's worth out of something like that wine pairing in the end, that makes a lot of sense to kind of save that. So let's talk about the courses. If you want to kind of start to run through them, and then I'm just so interested, because I mean, really the most fine dining I've ever done would be something like California Grill, So to get to this completely other level, I'm always interested in the portion size. I know you're doing a 10-course meal, so obviously you don't want big portions, but going along this, do you feel the cost is worth what you're getting out of each one? And do you leave there full at the end? What did you guys get to dine on?
We left there very full at the end.
Awesome. That's great.
So small courses, but they really add up.
Yeah.
So at first, when we sat down, they brought out a watermelon and mint and vanilla non-alcoholic cocktail for each of us as a sort of welcome drink. Started us out. And then they brought 3 different bites for the first course. One was pink pineapple with Thai basil and spiced mango. And it was basically a compressed cube of pink pineapple topped with some mango puree and a Thai basil. And then this course ordinarily would have been a shellfish based one for the second bite, but because of my allergy, they substitute it for a panise, which is a chickpea flour fritter with shiso and tempura.
Okay.
And that was delicious. And finally, there was a miso caramel eclair that was filled with some truffle and then topped with Iberico ham. And out of all three of those bites, that one was by far my favorite.
Wow. Now, are you usually a fine dining type of person? I mean, are you going to a lot of signature restaurants and fine restaurants at Disney, or this was just such a bucket list that's why you're doing it?
I usually do a lot of quick service at Disney.
Okay.
My standard go-to is honestly Tambu Lounge,
Yes.
Polly's secret menu for Ohana.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's ours
But
too.
it's a bucket list, and
Yeah.
I enjoy food. I enjoy fine dining. I've got a culinary arts background. So it's something that fits. It's just not something I do often.
Okay. One other question before we move on to the next course. Being on social media, food is so big at Disney. I know when I'm dining at any point, the camera eats first. Were you taking photos and just thinking, well, I'll use these later, or I'll look at them later or post them later? Or did you put phone camera away and enjoy? How do you deal with something like that when you're at this once in a lifetime, dining experience? I feel like it would be so hard to just put your camera away and not document it. But at the same time, you want to enjoy and savor every minute of it. What did you do?
Yeah, I tried to snap a couple of photos quick when the courses first came out.
Okay.
And then enjoy it before the temperature changed or
Yeah.
the texture of anything changed. But I definitely wanted to have pictures to post them and just to document and remember it.
Yeah.
Because it was such a great experience.
Oh, yeah. All right. What is up for our next course?
Next was a cauliflower panna cotta topped with Royal Belgian caviar.
Jeez.
So this one was really fun because you wouldn't really think of a cauliflower eating it, and just the texture of the panna cotta was so smooth, and it being chilled just made the flavor of the cauliflower stand out even more.
Okay.
And the caviar on top was amazing.
Wow.
It was the best caviar I've had.
Okay. I don't know that I could compare because I'm not sure that I've ever actually had like real caviar. What does caviar taste like? Because I know that I haven't. Is there anything it's comparable to?
Yeah, I mean, you want it to taste slightly salty. There's a little bit of briny flavor, but what sets just okay caviar and really good caviar apart, in my opinion at least, is that the really good stuff doesn't taste fishy.
Okay.
You just taste salt and you get that nice texture of popping each of the eggs in your mouth, but you don't have a fishy taste.
Yeah. I mean, like good fish. So yeah, it seems like it would follow. It's always the thing, fish shouldn't smell like fish. Fish shouldn't really taste like fish. So it makes sense that it'd follow along with caviar. That's super interesting. What else was on the menu?
Next was a king salmon with English peas and a whey broth that they poured over it tableside. So this salmon, they cooked it, I believe it was 110 or 115 degrees. So it basically lightly cooked the fish and just rendered all of the fat. And the texture of this was unbelievable. Yeah, best piece of salmon I've ever had.
Yeah. Now, when we get to portion sizes for something like this, about how big is a portion size of something like a fish or a protein or anything like that?
Probably 2 to 3 ounces.
Okay.
As far as the protein portion. It felt like just the right amount.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep track even. Was that what course number was that we're on now?
That was 3.
That was 3. Okay, I thought so. I'm trying to keep track over here. All right, so we're going to move on to the 4th course.
I can send you a copy of the menu too.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that way you can use it for notes and stuff.
Yes. Oh, I would love to see it too. That would be awesome. So you're all right. So you're already 3 courses down. We've got quite a few to go. Let's move on to the 4th course.
Okay, so the 4th course was a wild turbo with white asparagus, Marcona almond. So underneath the fish, between the white asparagus and the fish, was a layer of crispy chicken skin.
Wow.
And then this one was topped with a foam too, which was a really fun texture to eat. It was one of my favorite courses of the night.
So throughout the whole menu that we've gone so far, I mean, it's not what type of cuisine is this best described as? Because I can already see that we're getting a lot of different flavors from different cuisines. Is there any specific way that they kind of label it overall?
They really didn't label it any one way. I think because all of the courses are just so diverse that it's hard to pin them all into one category.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that idea that you're not just sitting down and getting just say, a 10-course French, meal or Italian or American or anything like that. It really sounds like they're borrowing from flavors all over the place.
Yeah, they really were.
That's amazing. Okay, so we're going to move on to the 5th course.
All right. 5th course was Glacier 51 toothfish with squash blossom and then a side plate of baby vegetables from a farmer named Lee Jones, who I believe is in Ohio, who does all sorts of super specialty different vegetables and produce for high-end restaurants.
Okay. So with all the courses as well, I mean, I know they're obviously it's not like they just come and dump everything on you. Are they waiting for you to let them know when you want the next course to become available? Are they putting you on any kind of like almost time schedule where they say, here's your first course. We're going to go prepare your second course while you're dining on this one. How does the timing of the whole meal kind of work out?
So they never actually mentioned any set timing.
Okay.
The way the whole restaurant works is that your table is yours for as long as you want it.
Okay.
There's only one seating. They don't turn the tables.
Wow.
So if we had asked them to slow down, I'm sure they would have. If we had lingered for an hour or so after coffee, I'm sure that would have been fine too.
Yeah.
But we pretty much just let them pace things how it came out, how they wanted to.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what was your overall dining time from pretty much the time that, let's just say you arrived and they opened the doors for you until you were walking back out?
So our reservation was at 5:50. I think we got there around 5:45. And then when we walked out, it was around 9:00.
Wow.
And we actually went for a walk and then caught the fireworks at 9:20.
Oh, that's great. That's a great evening.
Yeah.
Wow.
No one was prepared to go sit in a car that full and drive home yet.
No,
so we had to walk it off and then might as well watch some fireworks.
Yeah, might as well. That's a perfect way to end that evening. All right, we are now on to the 6th course. What did you have for the 6th course?
So the 6th course was a pork course that was officially our transition between fish and meat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a porchetta on top of a corn cake with peaches, a peach barbecue sauce, and fennel.
This all sounds incredible.
It really was.
So you've moved now. So this is your transition piece, which sounds like a perfect one, especially to have something like pork to go from your fish into now your courses that are going to have meat. What was the next course and what did that have with it?
The next course was Rocky Mountain lamb.
Ooh.
And that was served with Sicilian pistachios and Castle Vetrano olives with it as well.
All right. So what are we on now? 7? What's been your favorite up to this point out of everything then? Was it the king salmon?
Up to this point, it's been that Iberico truffle eclair and also the turbo.
Okay. All right. So I'm interested to hear what the final courses play out and if something beats those, because we're on to course 7, I believe.
8, actually.
8. Okay. We are on to number 8.
So the 8th course was Miyazaki A5 Japanese beef with koshibuki rice and chanterelle mushrooms.
Oh, wow. How was that?
It was like no other piece of steak I've ever eaten. The texture was phenomenal. The flavor was super intense. And even the rice with this course was really specialty rice. And they did it where they steamed it, cooked it, and then pan fried it. So the edges of it, both sides were crispy.
Yeah.
And then underneath the rice, there was a bed of chanterelle mushrooms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did they cook the Wagyu? Did they sear it like in front of you or tableside or anything? Or how did it come out?
No, it came out medium rare, already sliced and plated. There wasn't any tableside food preparation, but the coffee was tableside.
Okay. Yeah, I've done the Wagyu beef at I think it was the A5 Wagyu at Morimoto, which is really cool because they have one guy that's all he does is sear the Wagyu in front of you on a clay pot with like charcoal on the bottom.
Wow.
And it was just such an experience, even beyond the flavor and all of the Wagyu. Of course, they bring it out to you for you to like inspect it first before they're going to sear it off, and then literally, I mean, it's maybe a second each side. Before they serve it up to you. And then at the end we got, which is kind of a weird thing, but I have a certificate with the, I guess like it wasn't a name, but the number of the cow that it came from and a nose print from the cow on the certificate,
Wow.
which was neat, but also a little weird and a little much. Like I know what happens, but I don't want to present it with a certificate.
Yeah, the nose print's a bit,
that was a bit much, I thought. But it was unlike any sort of beef or steak or anything I've ever had. It was, and the only reason I got to experience is my brother took me to dinner, and that's what he wanted is to try that as like an appetizer, and it was absolutely incredible. So I can only imagine how good this was. Wow.
Yeah, I have not made it to Morimoto yet.
Oh, you have not? Oh,
I have not.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, it's one of those restaurants that we talk about all the time, but I bet we haven't dined there in 4 to 5 years. But that's how much of an impression it left on us the couple times that we did dine there. So, and we keep saying we'll get back there, and we just haven't made it back. So one of these times I'm just going to have to book the reservation, and we're just going to go and try it again. But it's a wonderful experience. And it's got a very vast menu, but everything we've ever had is good, from cocktails to appetizers, sushi, main courses. So yeah, definitely one you'll have to get out to and try, and maybe you can do the Wagyu, and then you can compare them and come back and let me know.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, we are on to our last 2 courses and heading to number 9, correct?
Correct. So the next course was a cheese course, and that was a preparation of 3 different types of cheese. So the first cheese was a blue cheese, and then next they made a spread out of a Norwegian brown cheese, which tasted almost like caramel, and that was served with a Norwegian seed cracker and a gooseberry with that. And then there was a goat cheese mousse, and just a piece of goat cheese by itself is the last cheese option.
Okay. How was that? How was the goat cheese mousse? Especially because we love goat cheese, but that sounds very interesting.
Was delicious. Yeah. Love goat cheese. The blue cheese honestly was the only thing the entire night that I didn't like.
Okay.
And that's just because I'm not a blue cheese fan,
Yeah.
but I didn't put it on my preferences because if there's a place to try it, it's Victoria and Albert's.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. So that's kind of that's now your transition really into kind of your dessert, I would take it, which is course number 10. Okay.
So the dessert course was really 3 courses in one. It was kind of nuts. But before they brought out dessert, they brought out coffee, and it was a really nice blend that was made for the restaurant. But the cool part about it was the preparation. So they use a reverse siphon pot to brew the coffee. So they light a fire on like a little burner underneath, and it's this big ball of glass for the coffee pot, and that heats up, and it heats the water, and it goes up into the siphon where the coffee grounds are to steep. And then as it cools, the coffee drains back into the bottom and leaves the grounds in the top.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible. And then, I mean, is this coffee? So how do you normally drink coffee? And then how do you drink this coffee? Because like, I'm a creamer guy. I load up on creamer and sugar and stuff, but this sounds like one you probably want to leave alone and just drink as is.
I mean, I will either for coffee go for just an iced coffee, usually black, or an iced macadamia nut latte.
Yeah.
But this one, so I don't like hot coffee, and she made mine iced, which was really nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Because at first, I just asked if I could get a glass of ice. I was going to do it myself. And then the cast member offered to just take it in the back and do it for me.
Yeah.
Which was a lot better than me spilling coffee all over the place.
I'm sure. And again, I mean, that just goes to show, I'm sure, the level of detail and attention and everything that they're providing somewhere like here. And, you know, for the experience and the price and everything, you would hope so, but it's good to see when they're backing that up. So you've had your coffee, you get to move into the final course, which is your dessert course. And you said there were actually 3 desserts that were served with this course. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the first dessert course was a mascarpone ice cream with a macadamia nut brittle and caramelized bananas.
Oh, wow.
And this basically had all of my favorite flavors all in one.
Yeah, mine too.
Caramelized bananas, macadamia nuts are arguably the best nut.
Yeah.
And the mascarpone ice cream was just a really nice base for it all that wasn't too sweet.
That sounds outstanding.
Then they brought out a strawberry spectrum, which was, just trying to describe it without using visuals is kind of hard.
Yeah.
So it was essentially a tower of a white cake with strawberry filling that was then coated entirely in white chocolate strawberry discs that ranged from white to pink. And it was just like a disco ball, essentially, of these strawberry discs on top. And then it was topped with some gold leaf.
So, I mean, this sounds very much like one of the most elevated strawberry shortcakes, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Had all of those same flavors, but just probably took someone an inordinate amount of time to decorate it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine how much time it took to do all of those little strawberry chocolate discs.
Yeah. And again, just think of that attention to detail for one part of one course of a 10-course meal. I mean, that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Yeah, you will have to send me any of the photos you did take as well, because I would love to see all those. So you still got one dessert option left on your 10th course, right?
Yes.
Jeez.
And this one it ended how it began, with 3 little bites. So it was really 3 more desserts in the last dessert.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So the first was a goat cheese marshmallow.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it was just like a little 1-bite marshmallow that they brought out for each of us. The next was a hibiscus sumac tuile, and it almost looked like, you know, those like prosciutto or salami and cheese little roll-up appetizers that you might find.
Yep.
It's basically a dessert version, but it looked exactly like that.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds great.
Yeah, it was. There was a Meyer lemon gâteau, which was basically a Meyer lemon cake, just a small 1-bite cake for each of us.
Yeah.
And there were 4 mini desserts, not 3. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And a Tupelo honey caramel bonbon, which was my favorite out of those 4.
Yeah. So going back then, so are they, in case, because you're saying it's 1 bite each of you, but are all of these courses are served each of you though, correct? So when a piece of fish comes out or whatever, you're each getting your own dedicated plating and serving of each of these courses, correct?
Correct, except for that last dessert course.
Okay.
They brought both bites on 1 plate for those.
So at the end of these 10 courses, which really sounds like it's more than 10 by the time you're done with some of these bites and all, is there food left? I mean, again, I know you went out very full. It seemed that the portions were exactly what you needed to make it through a 10 course. Are there any that you really just, maybe outside of the blue cheese, because you're not big on blue cheese, is there anything that you didn't finish? And then let's just say you don't. Are they giving out doggy bags for you to take home any leftovers? Or is there just probably not going to be leftovers?
So the only thing besides the blue cheese that I didn't finish, there were 3 bread courses in addition to all.
Throughout the entire 10 courses?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
throughout the entire 10 courses, there were 3 different bread courses, each with a different type of bread and a different type of butter to go with it.
Jeez.
Yeah, there was one bread course I didn't finish, and that was it.
Okay.
But I also didn't ask if I could take my half piece of bread
Right.
home with me. So.
No, that definitely makes sense. That's good to hear. So, I mean, this sounds like such an incredible experience from beginning to end. At about $1,000 for the two of you,
Mhm.
is this worth that cost? Is this worth someone saying, you know what? I mean, that's an expensive meal, of course, but is that worth somebody putting aside and saying, this is a bucket list of mine, whether I'm going to save for a couple months and try and do this, or I'm going to just whatever it's going to take. Did you find that this meal was worth the cost?
I honestly think it is.
Yeah.
Especially doing the 10 course menu over the 7 course, even though the 10 course is obviously more expensive. But the 10 course also had 2 different proteins that I've never had the opportunity to try anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And other than apparently Morimoto for the A5, I'm not really sure where I would go about trying the turbo or the A5 other than this meal.
Oh, yeah.
So that really helped bring the value for the money up quite a bit, just having different things that I've never experienced.
Looking back at that again, because this is a conversation that Rhonda and I have a lot, because I know she would enjoy something like this, the experience and all, but obviously you do look at cost. Let's just say that there hadn't been an opportunity for both of you to go. You thought only you could go and you had that money saved. Would you ever do this as a solo dining experience?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I would probably try to book a hotel reservation though.
Yeah.
For that night and not do it all in one afternoon.
Right.
If I'm going by myself.
Yeah. Did you regret not having a hotel for that night, or did you think it did work out perfect with you taking a walk after and seeing the fireworks and all that? Would you change that portion of it if you went back?
I would definitely change that portion if we went back, but she was out of DVC points for the year because we went on a few trips earlier this year, and having her DVC points to use were kind of spoiled in the sense that neither of us really wants to pay for a hotel room at Disney.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I totally get that. We pay for way too many hotel rooms. So yeah, I know how that goes. If we do Victoria and Albert's, we're probably staying at All-Star Music or something that night. If we're able to, but just cause I like listeners and stuff to kind of have a sense of some of the other things that you enjoy, just say around Disney, especially when it comes to dining. I know you mentioned Tambu Lounge and doing a lot more quick service type things. What are some of your favorite places and maybe some of your favorite things to eat on property?
So I always love Boma and Sanaa. Basically, all the dining over at Animal Kingdom Lodge is fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten at Chico yet, but that's probably next on my signature dining at Disney list.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one we need to get back to. It's been quite a while. I didn't love it when we went, but it's literally probably been like 7 years.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one of those ones we want to get back to. But yeah, I find it interesting, based on obviously people's flavor profiles, the things that they like. Certainly my parents who would go to Disney and eat nothing but, chicken fingers and French fries and a hamburger all week. This isn't going to be the type of experience for them. But for people that enjoy, and that's the thing too, that I look at with so many things that Disney does well is there is such a, addition of, all right, you've got really good food, you've got really good service, but you also just have what's an experience. And this sounds like so much of an experience that's backed up by the food and the service and the detail and everything that's going on. Is there anything you want to add about your overall dining experience at Victoria and Albert's that we didn't talk about already?
Well, we might as well cover the 3 bread courses.
Yeah, I want to hear about them. I love bread.
Those were actually really good too.
Yeah, my favorite bread right now on property is probably at Narcoossee's. It was just outstanding. Just like a good sourdough bread with perfect butter and salted butter. So what were these 3 courses? I'm super interested to hear the varying breads that they're giving you.
So the first course was a mini French baguette that was served with a cultured butter from Normandy with some sea salt on top. And that was delicious. Everything you want out of a baguette.
Oh yeah.
The next one was an herbed brioche. So this was just a little sweet, herby, super soft texture. And that one was served with an herbed butter
Okay.
that had ramps and some other herbs in there. And that was my favorite butter out of all three of them.
Okay.
I think that was actually my favorite bread course,
Yeah.
was the herbed brioche with the herb butter.
Hmm.
And then the last one was a 9-grain bread with that cultured Normandy butter again, but with some smoked sea salt to finish it instead of the regular sea salt.
Okay.
And that was the one I didn't finish.
I was just going to say, yeah. I mean, at that point, I'm not sure how you could. That is just crazy.
I mean, at that point, it was either finish the bread or finish the Wagyu.
Yeah.
So
you chose wisely. Yeah, you chose very, very wisely. Oh, this has been just so interesting to hear about all these different courses and the entire experience. I mean, it's certainly on my bucket list. I hope that it is something I get to experience one day in the future. Maybe I'll just start tucking aside some Disney gift cards or something now, and then maybe in a year or two, go ahead and try and get in there.
Yeah, that'd be a smart way to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you like fine dining, it's definitely a Disney experience worth trying.
Yeah. I mean, and this is really, if you look at adding it up, like Rhonda and I did Narcoossee's for our anniversary back in April. And, we each had a cocktail. We did an appetizer. We did the lobster bisque. We each had an entree. I believe we got at least one add-on enhancement. And then we had a dessert. And by the time we were done there with tip and all, it was north of $300. So really, when you think about it, if we were to go and sit down at a Narcoossee's and almost create our own 7 to 10 course meal for the both of us, it could easily get close to that $1,000. So that's where I think, people look at the overall price tag, which I understand is hefty, but when you look at what you're getting out of it and everything you just told us about, and that entire experience, it really isn't priced that crazy when you break it down.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
And for the quality of the food and the level of service and just the attention to detail, it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. And we had just ran into another listener in the parks at Epcot the other weekend that had just done Victoria and Albert's, and we just chatted with her real quick too. And I mean, she had nothing but good things to say about it. I've got a friend that's been a couple of times actually, that he's told me about it before. It just sounds absolutely fascinating. But I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your experience with us. You gave Rhonda a night off, technically, even though she's at work for another hour or two. But I know she appreciates that, and you're able to come and fill in very last minute. So I really do appreciate that. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you out on Instagram or any other social handles that you want to guide people to, so they can check out some of your Disney adventures?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. So you can find me on Instagram at Dole Whips, and Tiki Sips is my handle.
I love that.
Yeah, I do a lot of Polynesian posts, a lot of tiki cocktails, lots of Trader Sam posts.
Yes.
Spend a lot of time there.
All right. Do you have any, I mean, I know you got to show up early. You got to get on the list for Trader Sam's. Do you have any other tips or tricks to get in there? Because we failed the last 2 times because we kind of just showed up a little bit early, but not probably early enough. What's the best way to get in there?
On a weekend, show up by 1, get in line, and just stick it out and stay there.
Yep.
If you want to get in early. I went Saturday, I think 2 weekends ago, and got in line around 1. They came out and started taking names at 1:30 because the line was really long at that point. And by 3:00 when they opened, the list was already full for the night.
Yeah. Wow.
And getting in line that early, I basically am guaranteed to get my text to come back in between 3 and 3:05.
Okay. All right. That's perfect. We'll try that next time. If you were there 2 Saturdays ago, we were probably just behind you because we were over at Grand Floridian Cafe, and we're like, we'll head over to Tambu. Let's stop by Trader Sam's and see what's up. But I want to say by the time we got there, it was probably like 2 and they were full. So we went up and enjoyed some drinks at Tambu because that's definitely one of our go-to spots as well. because Rhonda's going to get the pot stickers and the noodles every time.
They're so good.
They really are. Yeah.
And those wings. The wings are my favorite.
Oh, they're outstanding. Yeah, we got those the time, I think, before last. But, well, thank you again, Jordan. I really, really appreciate it. Make sure you keep in touch. I would love to see a photo of that menu if you send it over as well. But, yeah, thank you for coming on Main Street Magic. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you guys enjoyed that and hearing Jordan's experience at Victoria and Albert's as much as I did. It has me wanting to go even more than I already did before. So, Josh GMR, if you are listening, I am still available. I can pretty much make any time for you if you would like to take me. If not, I'm going to start tucking away some Disney gift cards, and maybe I can get Rhonda and I there sometime in the next year so we can give you our own review of Victoria and Albert's. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening. Rhonda will be back next episode as we cover part 2 of our Fort Wilderness camper rental adventures vacation last weekend. We'll talk more food and wine. We will talk about Grand Floridian Cafe for lunch and a whole lot more. So you definitely want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get these brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And if you've not done so already, you know we would be super duper appreciative if you could leave us a rating and review, because as Rhonda always says, it really does help our show grow. That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.